Hey everybody, it's Ms. Dietrich. We're looking at lesson 3.10. It's on problem solving using the coordinate plane. An artist is using an illustration program. The program uses a coordinate plane with the origin 0, 0 located at the center of the computer screen. An artist draws a dinosaur centered on the point 4, 6. Then she moves it 10 units to the left and 12 units down. What ordered pair represents the dinosaur's new location? We basically have two options for how we might solve this. Method one is to just go ahead and plot the stuff on the coordinate plane and then go ahead and move it and count. Another way is if you're comfortable with your rules for integers and combining them, then you can just take the point that they're talking about. So that's this, the 4, 6, and ask yourself left, right, what axis is that? Left, right is the x-axis. So remember, the first number in the ordered pair is the x value. The second number in the ordered pair is the y value. So left, right is x. Up, down is the y-axis. So if we read this more carefully, it says she's moving it 10 units to the left. So if we're going to the left, that would suggest negative 10. And we're going 12 units down. So up, down, if it's negative, if it's down rather, we're going to go negative. All right, so if we think about where this would be on the coordinate plane, and we did plot that, if we went over 4 and up 6, then we're talking about a point right here. Now we can go ahead and count. So let's do that first. Let's try that strategy. 10 units to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then from there, we have to go 12 units down. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so there's our new dot, right? So our new dot, if we had to come up with what's the ordered pair for that, we're left 6 and we're down 6. So that's a negative 6, negative 6. Now, if we know our rules for integers, instead of going through this all this drama to figure that out, we can simply say to ourselves that 10 units to the left means negative 10 to the x-axis, or coordinate, and 12 units down means subtract 12 from the y coordinate. And if we did a positive 4 and added a negative 10 to that, wouldn't we get a negative 6? And if we did a 6 and combined that with a negative 12, in other words, a positive 6 plus a negative 12, wouldn't we get a negative 6? And isn't that the same ordered pair we got by doing it this way? So again, you have two options. Method one depends on your comfort level with adding and subtracting integers. Method two is to go ahead and just plot it. All right, let's look at a different question. Tyrone and Kyra both walk home from school. Kyra walks 4 blocks east and 3 blocks south to get home. Tyrone lives 3 blocks west and 3 blocks south of the school. How far apart are Tyrone's and Kyra's homes? All right, so we have a couple options here again. So let's make sure we first understand the idea that north and south, up, down, right? That's the y-axis. West, east would be the x-axis. So we have a couple options. So if we're going to plot this on a coordinate plane, so I think I like this one better. Maybe we'll use this one because it's a little bit bigger. It's easier to read. All right, so if we kind of go back and reread everything, right? So if Kyra's walking, let's say this is where we're starting from. If she's walking 4 blocks east, so remember this is west, this is east, and this would be north, and this would be south on the coordinate plane. So if we're going to go 4 blocks to the east, that means we're going this way. 4 blocks to the east would be 1, 2, 3, 4 to the east, and then we're going 3 blocks south. So that's 1, 2, 3 blocks south. All right, so she's home, right? She's home. Let's put a K. All right, so for Tyrone, he lives 3 blocks west. So let's use a different color for that. So if he's going to the west, he's going this way. 1, 2, 3 to the west, and then 3 blocks south. So let's go 1, 2, 3 blocks south. And let's put a T for Tyrone. All right, now they do want to know how far apart are Tyrone's and Kyra's homes. Now, we have a couple options here. One method is to think, what's the ordered pair here? So if we think about Tyrone's ordered pair, that's a -3, comma, -3. So let me put it over here as well. We have a -3, comma, -3. And then if we look at K, Kyra's house, her ordered pair is a +4 and a -3. Now, in a previous lesson, we learned how can you tell the distance between 2 points by just comparing their ordered pairs. But since we have it on the coordinate plane, we want to know how far apart are their homes. We can just simply count. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units apart. So there's 7, I guess, blocks, right? 7 blocks apart. Now, is there a way we can get a 7 by looking at these two values here? There is, because we learned earlier that if you have our y coordinates, did you notice that they're the same? So we know that this is going to be a vertical line that we're talking about because the y coordinates match. It's the x coordinates that differ from each other. And when we're trying to figure out the distance that these 2 points would be from each other, we first have to decide, are they in the same quadrant? And we know that they're not because this is a negative negative and this is a positive negative. So they're in different quadrants. And recall that the procedure is to add the absolute value of the x coordinates. So if we think about the absolute value of a -3 plus the absolute value of a 4, then we're really talking about a 3 plus 4, and that gives us 7. So we can come up with the 7 blocks apart by just knowing what their ordered pairs are, which, by the way, it's not an accident that we're talking about 3 blocks west and 3 blocks south. So that's west and south, right, for Tyrone. And it's 4 blocks east and 3 blocks south. So that's not an accident that we're talking about east being positive and south being negative, right? So we could come up with these ordered pairs just by reading this. All right, so another example, let's look at something. Let's find one that, actually this one's kind of tricky. It says Busby County is rectangular on a map, or I can't even read today. Busby County is a rectangle. A map of the county on a coordinate plane shows the vertices of the county at, and they give you these 4 coordinates. Each unit on a map represents 1 mile. What is the county's perimeter? So we do have a couple ways to figure this out because you are supposed to be able to tell whether or not, if you have 2 points, whether or not it might form a vertical line or a horizontal line. That's first. But let's say you're all mixed up about that stuff. We can go ahead and plot this. So if we plot this, we plot a -5, 8. So I think I'm going to plot it over here because this one, let me make this one bigger as a matter of fact. Make this, stretch that out, make that a little bit bigger. We'll plot it on this one just because I like it better. And hopefully, is it big enough? Let's see, is it big enough? Just big enough. All right, so if we plot this, we're going to go to the left 5. So this is, see how it's going by 2s. So that would be about right here. Left 5 and then up 8. Actually, you know what? I don't know if I think I do want to use the other one now that I know that that one doesn't have the odd numbers on it. So let's go back to using this one. So we're going to plot the left 5. Left 5 would, if this is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5 would be here. And then go up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's right here. So that's this coordinate. And then we go over 8, up 8, over to the right 8 and up 8. So that's going to be here. Now, when we think about what's the distance between these 2 points, wouldn't we be noticing that the y coordinates match and that the x coordinates differ from each other, and they're in different quadrants? So we can just add the absolute value of these 2 numbers here and just think, what's 5 plus 8? That would be the absolute values. And we would come up with the value of 13, right? So we know that this line here going across, this line right here, would be 13. which means that there's got to be another, if it's a rectangle, there's got to be another line that's going to be 13 as well. So let's continue to think about this one. So if we're going to plot this and go over 8 and go down 10, over 8 and go down 10, then we're talking about here. So that's this one. And then if we go left 5, and then down 10, then that's going to be here. So if this is 13 units here, doesn't that mean that this is 13 units as well? Because opposite sides of a rectangle are congruent. All right, and now let's take a look at the line that we have here. So we have this line and we have this line, which are congruent, right? Because opposite sides of rectangles are congruent. Now, we can count, right? We can go ahead and count. So we know that from here to here is 8 units, and we know from here to here is 10 units. And if we add the absolute values of the 8 plus 10, isn't that going to give us 18? Which means that this is going to be 18 over here. Now, if they're interested in the perimeter, then they're interested in the distance going around the figure. So that means we would have to add the 13 and the 13 and the 18 and the 18. Now, I just want to show you another way that we can come up with this 18. Now, if we think about what were the points, what was this point right here? So this point was a -5 and a +8. So I'm just going to put that over here. -5, +8. And if we think about what was the ordered pair for this, this was a -5, -10. -5, that's this, right? -5, -10. And what we could have done is we could have noticed that the x coordinates are the same. So I just want to point out to you that when x coordinates match, then you're talking about a vertical line. The y coordinates differ from each other. So we would take the absolute values of the y coordinates and just add the 8 plus 10 and get the 18 that way. And we could have done the same thing with the ordered pairs for any horizontal line. All right, but at any rate, they want to know the perimeter. So we're adding 13, and we have 2 of those. So some people like to multiply that by 2. And we have 2 of the 18s. So here we get the 6, and here we get the 2. Okay, and that would be 16. And 2 times 1, and the 1 more would be 3. So really, we just have to add the 26 plus the 36 to get the perimeter. And if we do that correctly and carefully, it's easy to make a mistake, then we end up getting 62. And let's see, what is it? Miles? Yes. 62 miles going around the rectangle. All right, so look for additional videos on this topic that I will be posting, and hopefully you found this video helpful.